In today's video, we present you 10 animals that talk to humans. You might not have heard that animals can learn your language and can talk too, but here's a list of 10 beasties from huge elephants to a small dog breed who might have something to say. With that being said, let's jump into the video with the number 10. Koshik the elephant. You have always heard the elephants roar and trumpet, but this time it is totally the opposite. An African elephant has a special talent for talking. Well, a little, because he has a small but impressive vocabulary of Korean. Koshik does not seem to understand what he is saying, but the ability to mimic the words is extraordinary. Knowing only the 5 words, annoying anja, anya, nuo, and choa, his trainers claim that he learned to follow human words in 2004, and they allot it to close contact with humans throughout his lifetime. That's an impressive story. Number 9. Nok the beluga whale. In 1984, at about the age of 9, Nok made his first statement. Yeah, we understand this was probably annoying for a human, as it was a little too late to finally start talking. But the Nok was a beluga whale. Imprisoned as a juvenile in 1977, the Nok learned to imitate the speech of people who treated him as his friends at an early age. Although imitation came to an end when he reached sexual maturity 4 years later. But the fact that it actually happened is undeniably amazing. Number 8. Alex the gray parrot. Parrots can be best friends when they start to talk with their owners. But when he was 1 year old, Alex was an African gray parrot and is the subject of a major scientific study that lasted more than 3 decades. His owner, Irene Pepperberg, was a veterinarian at the University of Arizona who was studying language about animals. In fact, Alex's name itself was an acronym for Pepperberg's animal learning experiment. At the time of his death in 2007, Alex could recognize more than 50 objects, had a vocabulary of more than 100 words, and was said to have the intelligence of a 4-year-old. Before his death, his last words to Pepperberg were, "You be good." Number 7. Hoover the seal. Found by Alice Swallow and George in 1971, Hoover was just a baby when he was taken in by his human parents. After earning his name by eating at the pace of the vacuum cleaner and outgrowing his bathtub, Hoover began living in a pond outside his adoptive parents' home. Here he learned how to speak and imitate words, including the hot New England accent. Finally, he was taken to the New England Aquarium, where he entertained onlookers, shouting, "Well, hello there, and get out of here," until he died in 1985. Number 6. Odie the pug. Not to be confused with Garfield, this canine named Odie was just a fool. Although his vocabulary consisted of only 3 words, that was enough to draw the hearts and attention of the United States. He was featured on Late Night with David Letterman and The Oprah Winfrey Show, exclaiming with joy, "I love you," to his owner Ruth. Number 5. Nkisi, the African gray parrot. We have another African gray parrot similar to Alex on our list. Nkisi has a much more comprehensive vocabulary and an understanding of the world around him. With a growing vocabulary of 950 words and the ability to use them in context, frequently in general sentences, Nkisi is a good example of how little we know about animals. Nkisi has been reported to understand the forms of verbs. In a story told by Jane Goodall, after seeing a picture of an acclaimed primatologist, Nkisi had the opportunity to meet her in person, at which point he looked at her and asked, "Got a chimp?" Number 4. Blackie the cat. You have only experienced talking cats through the apps, but surprisingly, we have the real talking cat on our list. Although there were no scientific studies involving Blackie, she is one of the most important talking animals in the world. Trained to say "I love you" and "I want my mom," Blackie made paid appearances on local TV and radio programs throughout the 1970s. However, when the show finally reached the corner of the street, as a guitarist wanted to make it bigger in Nashville, the owners were notified that they would need to get a business license to continue the Blackie Street Show. Number 3. Mishka the husky. Most Siberian huskies have been known to talk using humming and warbling noises instead of the usual bark, but that is no reason to think they can actually hold a conversation. Unless we talk about Mishka, of course. Mishka, the talking husky, does just that. With a growing vocabulary, including key phrases such as "hello," "I love you," and "I'm hungry." If your dog could talk, do you think he would say much more? Number 2. Einstein the African gray parrot. Permanent resident in Knoxville Zoo in Tennessee, Einstein is 18 years old and has a vocabulary of about 200 words, about 70 on cue, and a certain personality. When asked what she would do if given a peanut, her reply was to shake the head and say, oh my god," again and again with joy.
"What'd you do for a peanut?" Good.
Einstein is similar to Alex and Nkisi, and the third in the set that proves this could be the most intelligent bird species in history. Number 1. Lucy the Chimp. Lucy Temerlin had a preference for gin and would happily put tea when her tutor came to visit. This would have been completely normal unless Lucy was a chimp. Owned by the Institute for Primate Study in Oklahoma and raised by Maurice Temerlin, a university professor and psychiatrist, Lucy Temerlin was a controversial attempt to disrupt the lines between man and animal. Her story is recorded in Temerlin's book, Growing Up Human, A Chimpanzee Daughter in the Psychotherapist's Family. Raised as a human, Temerlin and his wife taught Lucy to eat food with silverware, sit at the dining table, and even getting dressed. To help her communicate, primatologist Roger Fouts taught her basic sign language. Eventually, she learned more than 140 words, which she often used. Although she never spoke aloud, she was one of the first apes to use sign language in any fluent way and was one of the few talking animals who obviously understood what she was saying. Wow, do you think parrots are the most intelligent animals in the world? Let us know in the comments section below and be sure to click on the recommended videos on the left and right side of the screen for more awesome content. See ya!